In this video, you will learn how to manipulate more of the required elements on your resume page. Before we get started, make sure that you have your color palette and font families at hand in order to complete this tutorial accurately. First, locate Pages on the left menu and select All Pages. Here, you'll need to locate your resume page and click. Now, you'll want to select the Edit with Elementor button. This will open up the Elementor user interface. For this tutorial, we are focused on manipulating the References section on the bottom of our page. Under References, there's a few different components. First, there's the reference header, and then there are three different titles, which will include the references names, first and last names, and then two, maybe three sentences of information based upon how this person would recommend us. So to get started, first you can change this reference box. Click anywhere within the box and you'll notice that on the left pane, if you were to select Style, you'll notice that there is a border type around the text. Now, for the sake of this tutorial, it's set as solid. So I see a solid line around my text. Well, let's say I didn't really want that solid line. It didn't mesh well with the rest of my brand identity components throughout my website. Well, you can either select None, where the box goes away entirely, or you can select Double, and Double has this very thin line that wraps around the text. It's two thin lines. This has a more elegant, formal approach to displaying this information. Maybe that meets your personal brand attributes. If it doesn't, and dotted does, you can see that there is a dotted line, which almost has a more playful approach to displaying information. There's a dashed line, which also has a more playful approach to displaying information. And then lastly, there's a groove, and groove will basically indent the line into the actual page. It gives it a bit more of a modern approach. So depending on how you want to reflect your personal brand attributes throughout your digital portfolio site, you may want to select a border in accordance with those attributes. For the sake of this assignment, I'm actually going to select None to keep it consistent with all other titles throughout my digital portfolio website. You'll also notice that this is in action orange. So this is my call to action orange color. However, when you click on references, nothing is going to happen. So I don't want the user to think that they can click on references and get my references. Instead, I just want them to understand what they are about to read will be my references. So to change that, I'll want to change this color to match my header colors throughout my website. So if I go to my color palette and secure the hex code for my primary color, which is this army green, and then I go back to my digital portfolio site, under text color, I'll select that color palette and paste my hex code for my army green. Now you can see that references has changed to reflect the same as my name and other title components throughout my website. It is still, in fact, a substantial section of my website, so I do want it to reflect this all capitalization. So under typography, I make sure that the transform option indicates uppercase like it does here. However, if in these previous sections, I decided that I wanted them to be all lowercase, then under here, I need it to be lowercase to keep consistency. Okay, the next thing that I want to do is under content, you can see here that under link, there's a hashtag. That hashtag is telling the digital portfolio site, your WordPress content management system, that there is a potential link. So when the visitor mouses over it right now, it's turning into this little hand. Your cursor turns into the hand, indicating that the user can click. We don't want that to happen. So let's delete the hashtag entirely. And now the system understands that this is not going to be a linkable component at all. So now when a user actually mouses over that section, it's not going to turn to a hand. So there's no link. Okay, that's how we like it. However, we have references that we do want to provide our visitor. And so one of the ways that we can do that is we can actually provide them with those references by including a call to action button similar to the call to action button that is at the top of our page. So here we already created a download resume button. Why don't we create a download references button for the visitor to have access to a full sheet of references? The way that we can do that very quickly and efficiently is hover over this section and select duplicate. So right click on the tab section up here and then select duplicate. Now you'll notice that our button has been duplicated. Now we can just drag and drop that down to right below references or right above references, either one. So let's actually make it below. So let's grab this. There we go. We'll put it below. And now the last thing that the visitor sees is a download references button. We don't want it to say download resume. So once more, we click anywhere within this box. And on the left side, instead of resume, we're going to delete that and simply put references. Okay. Now we have to have a media file in order to have our link that we would need to place here. So we're going to delete this link because that's going to our resume. Make sure that you delete that link. Now we need to upload our references document. First, we'll need to create a PDF file using the Word document. And once more, the way that we do that is we open up our Word document file, and in the top left under your menu options, you'll see File and then Save As. Here you can select from the format PDF, and now it'll save it as a PDF file on your local device. Before I move on, I do want to point out a few things when it comes to references. When it's time to provide somebody with your references, it's always a good idea to give them their name, their title, the company that they worked for or currently work for, your relationship with that individual, years that you were affiliated or knew that individual, and what that individual can speak to about you. So for instance, Foley worked with Taylor, and she worked with Taylor at the National Football League. And Taylor was the media production specialist, which was actually, as far as a relationship is concerned, a colleague or a peer of Foley. She wasn't a superior to Foley. Instead, she was a peer, a colleague. And the years that they were affiliated were 3 years. So Foley has known Taylor, and Taylor has known Foley for 3 years. And Taylor can speak to Foley's ability to work multiple projects and lead multiple projects simultaneously. She can also speak to Foley's work ethic as somebody who has worked side by side with Foley in the past. And then you can do the same with superiors. So Joey here is the vice president of live venues in the Southeast region for Live Nation. He was Foley's supervisor at Live Nation for 2 years. And Joseph can speak to Foley's ability, leadership abilities. So he knows if we wanted, as an employer, wanted to know if Foley is a great leader, well, we could contact Joey to find out exactly what type of leadership abilities she had, maybe what style of leadership she led a team in. And then also, lastly, Rebecca here works at VaynerMedia as vice president of public relations, and she was indeed Foley's supervisor for 3 years. And Rebecca can speak to how Foley has developed PR campaigns for VaynerMedia and garnered her approval. Okay. So this is what references should really contain, not just a name and a number, but it should actually contain information that would provide the future employer some insight into what this individual can speak to and how long you knew them and what your relationship was. That should be provided here. The only thing glowingly obvious that is missing from this sheet is the email and phone number for each one of these people. But because this is a fictitious references, I'm not including that here. I just wanted to give you an idea of what that would look like. Okay. Now let's go ahead and cancel out of this. And now we're going to go back to our website, and we're going to Command T in our web browser to open up a new tab, or you can just click the new tab button, and we'll want to navigate to the front end of our website. And now once you're here, you can click the little gauge next to your name to navigate to the dashboard of your website. And here you're going to want to select media. And under media, once this page is loaded, you'll notice that you can add your media here. So those the references that we just got done saving as PDF, that's what we're about to upload. So select Add New at the top, and then select Files. Locate the file on your local device. The PDF file is what we want to upload, and then click Open. Once the file has been uploaded to our site, it'll look like this, and then click on it so that we can gain access to that unique URL for the media file. You're going to highlight the URL over here on the right, Command C to copy it, and then navigate back to the Elementor user interface where you're selected this button here, the download references. On the left, you'll notice that there's a link option. Go ahead, Command V to paste that link right there. Okay, so now when the visitor clicks on download references, it will actually download the references as a PDF file. Okay, the last thing that I'll point out is the actual 3 areas for you to include. You should have access to 3 references. Now, that could be your superior, that could be an instructor, that could be a peer, it may be in your classes or somebody that you've worked with. But over the course of your time here at Full Sail, you'll need to develop references to prepare yourself for graduation day and finding employment. So start thinking about people that you can include here and what they could speak to. So what you'll actually include on your resume page here would be their name, and then essentially your relationship or what they can speak to. What company did you work with them in? If you were a student and they were a student and you worked on a project together, then you might say, Taylor was one of my peers at Full Sail where we worked on a video production project, and she could speak to my ability to lead a team effectively, or my work ethic, and so forth. So just give a little bit of information to the visitor as to how each individual can speak to your skills and abilities or different experiences that you have. Also, you'll need to make sure that the names are your title font and colors, and then the text here, the copy down below, is the body text font, and as well as the body text color that you chose, which is by default a charcoal gray, but perhaps you change that to black or whatever color. That's perfectly fine, as long as it's the proper body font and header font in these 2 locations. Once you've made these changes, you'll want to make sure that you save those changes by selecting the update green button in the bottom left. And once the page has been updated, your resume page is now complete.